I want you to turn to the person who is seated next to you and tell them, it's okay to not be okay. But it's not okay to remain not okay. Shadrach, did you hear what I said? I said, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to remain not okay. And I am happy to grace this fellowship today. And I want to start by talking about a young man who walked into this compound belonging to an old mzee. A mzee who had retired. This mzee was in his 70s. And this is a young man. And you know the way the young people these days shave their hair, wananyoa hapa, alafu wanaachilia tunywele tungine hapa, tunafanywa hivi. You see them doing this most of the time. So he walked into this man's compound and told him, I have come because I have the intention of marrying your daughter. And this person who was saying that, alikuwa anakula miraa. You know, those people who chew miraa, when they are chewing the miraa, there's something about the cheek. Inakuwa imefura. So this mzee looks at this young man and asks the man, wewe ukiwa unakaa hivi, unataka kuwa msichana wangu? And this guy, because he was convinced, the reason why he's acting the way he's acting is because of his miraa chewing, tells the older man that it's not only miraa that I chew, I also use kuber, I smoke a bit of weed, and I still have the intention of marrying your daughter. Nasi, wacha hiyo kwanza. I just came from prison. You know, I have just come from prison. And the mzee asks him, and you still, you know, of course, with that tainted CV, you still want to marry my daughter? And this guy, convinced, says yes. And then the mzee curiously asks him, what then took you to prison? And this guy says, why I went to prison is because one day I walked into an old man's compound just like you, and I told this mzee that I want to marry the daughter, and then he refused, and I killed him. Uliza mwenzako, kama no ungefanya nini? What would you have done if you are the one? What would you have done? My name is Joseph. I am very happy to be here. And thank you, the Vice Chair. Thank you, Shadrach. And thank you, Mchungaji, for having me this evening. I was just having a brief conversation with Mchungaji and a few folks in the office, and I was saying that this is a timely intervention because it's coming at a time when Kenya has been ranked as the 5th most depressed country in Africa and 9th globally. And the numbers are not looking very good, especially when it comes to us, the male population. The numbers are saying that 8 out of every 10 funerals you're likely going to attend today are men, and only 2 are women. That is to mean 8 out of 10 people who die are men. It is estimated that during the COVID-19 pandemic, 7 out of every 10 people who died were men. If you're a married man, please wave at me. I'm married, my hand is up. If you're married, like me, and you have a wife, you're married to a woman, the statistics are saying that if you do not arrest the mental health crisis, in other words, if you do not manage the way you process your feelings and your emotions, if you do not manage your stresses, you're likely going to die, and then your dear wife is likely going to outlive you. Outliving means living after you. After umekanyanga kubwa kubwa umeenda, she outlives you by between 25 to 35 years. Yes. Tell your brother who is sitting next to you, Nikubaya. And we have to refuse this madness of dying premature deaths. If you care about your brother who is sitting next to you, Mwambie, we have to refuse this madness of dying premature deaths, because most of these deaths can actually be prevented. And I remember the last time I was here, and so let me finish with that. So I said that during COVID-19, it is estimated 7 out of 10 deaths were men. Why? Is because of partly of how we have been socialized. The socialization that we went through as men is one of the contributing factors, because we were wired to believe that it's wrong to express how we feel. I was telling this group on Saturday that most of us have grown up. Let me even start here. That before you become the man that you are, the first thing you are a young boy, right? Then you graduate, you become a teenager. Before teenage, of course, there's puberty, and then you become a man. The experiences you go through during that socialization is what shapes the person that you become. So you grow up in a home. Again, the statistics show that more than 60% of the homes we grew up in were dysfunctional homes. We grew up in homes where we were told things that possibly might have ended up damaging the people that we are. What happened when, as a young boy, you are punished? You're beaten by your mother or you're beaten by your dad. And then when you cry, what are you told? Why are you crying like a woman? When you do not cry, you're beaten because you're being stubborn. You're not showing feelings and emotions. So as a man, you're beaten for crying and you're beaten for not crying. You're confused. You don't know what to do. Yet girls are told it's okay to express. We grow up in homes where we are bought for toys. You've bought toys for your sons. Those are part of the reinforcing factor. If you have a son, what do you buy them as toys? You buy them toy guns. What else do you buy them? Toy guns, toy cars. And it is said that every man has a dream of owning a car. But when you approach your 30s, your 40s, and you've not been able to buy a car, unconsciously you begin to panic. And when your son asks you to go to the supermarket and buy a toy car, unconsciously you feel very excited because you feel like you're buying a real car unconsciously. So you come home and you tell your son to sit on that side, and then you sit on this side, and you start throwing this car at each other. But when you look carefully, who is going to stay with the car more? The mubaba, the father, because unconsciously he feels like he's driving a real car. The unconscious motivations. It is said that men are likely going to die because of irresponsible sexual behavior, because of drunken driving. Because we do not cry physical tears, but we cry through other things. We cry through booze and alcohol. We cry through irresponsible sexual behaviors. We are trying to use them as escapes. We cry through pornography. We cry through masturbation. We cry through illicit relationships and affairs. These toys that we were bought for. If I have a toy gun and you have a toy gun and we are young boys, when we meet outside here, we may not even exchange greetings, the nitty-gritties. What is going to happen? We start shooting each other. We are competing against each other. My son has a football, and your sons, who are our neighbors, don't have a football. When my son calls out your sons out to the field to play, he's going to make your sons line up, and he's going to divide them into two teams. what will these teams do? Compete against what? Each other. Right? When my son has a bicycle and your son has a bicycle, when they step out, what do? They compete against each other. So you find that for us men, we are wired towards significance and winning. So when we are winning, our confidence is up here. When we are losing, we feel insignificant. For the women, for the girls, it's okay for them to cry. It's okay for them to talk. The toys we buy them, the Barbie dolls, the teddy bears, they hug them, they talk to them, they sleep with them. So women become relational, they are wired for relationships. And that's why in their talking, in their socialization, they become better managers of their stress because they talk. Women go for fellowships. When they go for fellowships, what happens? They talk about us and the stress we are giving them. Then they sing and dance. And then someone preaches to them. They leave there with hope. How many men do you see here coming for this fellowship? Kama ilikuwa ya wamama, mngekuwa mnatafuta viti huku. Most of our colleagues, our friends are out there, even this minute, pursuing significance. And which are the things that make men feel significant? Our jobs, our money, what else? Sex and stable relationships. If you have a job and you have money and you're having great sex and you're in a stable relationship, you will feel like everything is going your way. But wait until you hit 40, 50. And then testosterone levels start reducing significantly because they do at the age of 40. And they reduce, I was telling Shadrach that they reduce by 1%. Once you hit 40, my brother, your testosterone, which is the hormone that is responsible for your sex drive, is going to start reducing significantly. And after 40, it reduces by 1% every year. So if today you're 40, next year you're 41, you'll be 1% less. And the studies are showing stress ikikukamba, hiyo kitu inateremka haraka sana. So unapata ya kwamba roho inataka lakini mwili inakataa. Whereas in the morning when you are waking up, there are some parts of the body which you are waking up before you find that these days they are not even cooperating. And then the other thing is that even with that, we still can't talk to. I can't go telling my brother Shadrach, kumeumana. So what do? I'm still trying to process that within myself. I'm still bottling that up. So the secrecy and the shame makes it even worse. Tell your brother, Nikubaya, but there is hope. And when Shadrach called me and we were having this conversation, he told me that you've been going through this series of a wounded warrior. A man is a wounded warrior. And today looks like the culmination of it. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, now that we have appreciated that we are wounded, then what do? Does it mean that this is the end of us? And it's not the end of us. There's still something that we can be able to do. You can now... I want to maybe quickly go through something I had shared maybe last year. Maybe just to drive this home. Most of the issues that we have, I don't know if they can be projected on this side, are as a result of the wounds that we carry. And someone said that if you never heal from what hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. If you can tell your neighbor that, I think your neighbor is going to appreciate that if you never heal from what hurt you, mwambie tu hivyo, if you never heal from what hurt you, you will bleed on people who didn't cut you. So the question is, what hurt you? Do you want to ask your brother, what hurt you, bro? What hurt you? What hurt you? Because you have to be able to identify your heart. There's this gentleman I have been trying to journey with, and this guy was abandoned by the mother when he was 5 years old. He was 5 years old. And when you're left by your mother at such an age, what happens is that you will have what you call abandonment wounds. If you do not heal from this abandonment, this is likely going to follow you until you confront it. And I keep on saying, you can't heal it until you face it. So, the abandonment wounds lasted until when he got himself a wife. And by the grace of God, he got a very good wife. But our brother has one problem. Come here. Today you are our teaching aid. So this guy, after a day's work, he will go to bed and he will sleep with the wife. They sleep together in bed. And he loves his wife dearly. But he insists that every time they are sleeping, the wife has to hold him like, see, mumelala hivi. So when they are sleeping, the wife has to hold him like this. You see where my hand is? And of course, when you are sleeping, there are times when around maybe midnight, depending with what time you went to bed, when the sleep catches the better part of you nalala tu freestyle, isn't it? You don't care whether you're holding on to anyone or not. If he happens to wake up and find that the hand is not there, he will pull it and bring it here. What is the problem with this brother? What do you think the problem is? He hasn't recovered from the wound and the trauma of abandonment. And unconsciously he feels like maybe one day the wife will wake up and leave the way the mother left. Tell your brother, heal. So the wife was complaining because he was asking, why is this gentleman constantly asking me to hold him? It's simply because this is a person who has not been able to heal from the wounds that were inflicted on him when he was a child. So what do we do? Now that we are appreciating, are you able to project? Are you going to? Are you on this side? All right. So you can just project the self-care thing, the one in green. I want to just share a few highlights, a few observations of what we can be able to do as men for us to be able to go to the next level. I was telling Shadrach and the team a while ago that I have a friend of mine who died last year. He was 50 and he was looking extremely fit for a person who is 50 years of age. He would religiously wake up in the morning and go for morning runs. He would be very cautious about what he's eating. He was a very picky eater. And just like the way it is a characteristic for us men to ignore some aspects about us, he started having stomach aches and he started self-medicating every now and then. And then one fateful morning after he went for one of the morning runs, he comes home and the pains persisted. And I remember him being taken for emergency observation by the doctor. And when he was seen by the doctor said he can't leave. He has to go for emergency surgery. And a 3 kg tumor was removed from his stomach. This was a very senior person where he was working. And this is a person who would have even accessed medical attention out of this country if he wanted to. But what do we do as men? We say kwenda hospitali ni umama, right? Isn't it? Don't we say that? So we self-medicate. We grew up in dysfunctional homes. And part of this dysfunctionality is what has been reinforced by all these other narratives. We grew up with parents who are telling us the opposite of what they meant. I was telling someone the other day that our parents would tell us the opposite of what they meant. For example, if you are the firstborn, Shadrach, and your mother wanted you to watch over the younger siblings, instead of your mother telling you nicely, watch over the children, what would you be told? Mutai, nimeenda, nikute umechoma mtoto, ama umechoma watoto. Is that what your mother meant? No. You're busy washing your mother's cups, and for some reasons, your mother hears these cups zikigongana. She will shout from wherever she is, telling you, vujeni zote, hata ziko kwa kabati mtoe mvuje, mama yenu ni tajiri atanunua zingine. I was telling my own children how we would wash our own uniforms. How many wash their uniforms here? But when you're being reminded, was it a rose affair? Ulikuwa unaambiwa aje, hiyo uniform hata usioshe, kesho utanivaa ukienda shule. I grew up in central Kenya. I would see githeri being cooked using traditional pots. Clay pots. And it was a three stone jiko. When your mother is going for the Wednesday fellowship, instead of her telling you nicely, wekea hiyo githeri kuni ndio upate chakula jioni mutai, what would you be told? Hiyo githeri hata msiwekee kuni, nikikuja jioni mtanikatakata mnikule. I have a friend of mine, another friend who is a reverend, not Reverend George, who was telling me, Reverend Washosho, he was raised by the grandmother. The grandmother would tell him, leo msichote maji, nitakuja na mvua. That is your grandmother telling you to be diligent and fetch water. What were you told? Some of us were made fun of because of our maybe physical appearance. Ukiwa mfupi wanakuambia wewe ni mfupi kama ati wewe ni mfupi mpaka unaweza endesha panado, unaweza endesha panado kama taya, wewe ni mfupi hivyo, ama wewe ni mweusi mpaka ukitoka nje giza inasema kuongelesha. Those things. There's a gentleman who was telling me how the father would yell at him, and because of that, he developed anxiety and panic attacks. He's now a married man. He is turning 30. He normally experiences panic attacks even during the act of intimacy. He's there trying to vibe the wife. Na anamwambia tunatoka hii safari kutoka Nairobi, tunaenda mpaka Nakuru. Wakifika pale Westlands, the anxiety grips the better part of him. You can imagine someone who was this and psyched up, all of a sudden like this. What do you tell your wife? What do you tell your wife? He still hears the voice of the father telling him, you are a coward. Because every time he would wake up in the morning, because of the anxiety, he even lost coordination. He would bedwet. He started bedwetting when he was in class 3 up to the time he finished Form 4. Imagine the shame and the guilt of having to remove the beddings in high school, being made fun of by the other boys. Yet this man is talking about it for the first time in his 30s. So what do we do? Because we're in agreement, we are wounded. Are we agreeing we are wounded? Ask your neighbor, are you wounded? No, hata sahi kuongea ni shida. Like this is our safe space. We should be talking to each other, but look at us. Look at us. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. But society lied to us. You see, these are some of the myths that I still haven't seen it on this side. Is it going to come? Awesome, thank you. The myths are that men, real men pump iron. Real men run the show. What else can you see? Real men So when you cry, uko na umama. But you see, these wamama ndio wanaishi, they are living longer than us. Real men woo women. Real men wako na swaga. So kama hauna, what happens? And because of that, I'm going to come to that later. I want us to go somewhere here. Just take me there again, please, if you don't mind. There's something I want us to see. Yeah, this one. So this guy is a spiritual leader of some people called Tibetan people who live near China. And one day he was asked, what surprises you about humanity? And he said, what surprises me about humanity is this creature called man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he's so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being, he does not live in the present or in the future. So he lives as if he's never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. And I want you to ask yourself, could that be you? Could that be you? As a man, you're made up of those dimensions. Those are the dimensions that make you. We are emotional. We are physical. We are sexual. We are spiritual. We are mental. We are social. We are also professional because, we go to work. After high school, we went to college and we developed a set of skills. And this set of skills is what enables us to do what we do, right? And then you're also psychological, meaning that we get triggered. We get stressed. But now the challenge is, how do we deal with these dimensions? Because how we deal with these dimensions is what is going to impact on the outcome. If I ask you to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how you're doing in each and every one of those dimensions, what would be your score? Emotions, in terms of how well you express your feelings and emotions. How do you express the positive and the negative emotions, the functional and the dysfunctional emotions? Physically, do you like the person you see on the mirror? How do you feel about the person that you are? What do you feed your body? Sexually, how would you rate the relationship that you have with your intimate partner? What does your partner tell you in regard to your performance and your prowess sexually, and how does it make you feel? Are you in a relationship that is fulfilling sexually? If yes, how does that make you feel? If no, do you talk to someone about it? Are you struggling with other issues like pornography that thrives in shame and secrecy? Because if you are, then sexually, it's giving you a dent that is making you suffer significantly. Mentally, what kind of thoughts do you have? It is said that every human being has two sets of thoughts: rational, straight thinking, and irrational, crooked thinking. Let me give you examples of rational, straight thinking. One rational thinking is that it's not a must for you to be liked by everyone, and it's okay. What is the irrational part of it? that I must be liked by everyone. I should be rich at the age of 40. I must have a car, this type of car, at the age of 55. I ought to. I should. Irrational thoughts are perpetuated and encouraged by things like dogmas. Dogmas like must, ought, should. I should, I ought. For me to be happy, I must have a lot of money. Pesa ikienda, what do? So mentally, what thoughts do you entertain? Socially, who do you talk to? It is said that a man who does not have an accountability partner is a danger even to himself. Shadrach, who is your accountability partner? This is a person who you give permission to call you out when they realize that you're messing up. When they realize that you are not living up to your billing and your expectations. When they see you behaving in wayward ways. Do you have someone who can call you out? Wanakwambia, bro, hapa hauendi vizuri. If you don't have such a person in your life, then you're a danger to yourself, my brother. Tell your brother, if you do not have an accountability partner, you're a danger to yourself. Who are your friends? They say that you're the books you read, you're the company you keep, you're the movies that you watch. So you can actually audit your lifestyle by looking at those specific aspects. Professionally, the workplace where you work, would you describe it as toxic, or how would you describe it? Yeah. And I want to share some tips on a topic that we have ignored as men. Because the only way we are going to survive the wounds is if we embrace self-care. I was telling some men on Saturday. I was in Kitengela International School 2 weeks ago. So what happened is that we had a parenting session with both male and female parents. And then when men heard what is going on with them, they requested, can we have our own session? And we had a session with the men. And you'll be surprised that the hall was full to capacity, Shadrach. And those guys left that place with a resolve to take care of themselves. Because venye tunavuka hii, like we have to really, we have been taught to pour, just like Reverend George was saying. If you look at what you do, my brother, like you came here today to lead us in praise and worship, right? Hata tai haujatoa, ulikuwa job. And you came here. So you have poured in your workplace, right? You worked so hard today. You poured. Then you come here to church. You're still pouring to us. Who refills your cup? Usiniambie God. I know he does that. But who are the earthly people who fill your cup? Some of us will not even break to go for lunch. And when you break for lunch, we take coffee na mandazi ama keki kwa ofisi. And then the same as we pass by the supermarket, we buy yogurt and apples for our children who have been home throughout this time. We have bought enough supplies for them, so they've been eating very well. Wanaamka, after we are gone, we are gone to work. Wanakula breakfast, mayai na Weetabix na maziwa, na tu sausage na tu brown. Sa hiyo hata ukunywa breakfast. If you did, ulikura on the run, you know. So you bring them yogurt and apples in the evening. and you have not eaten anything, na hii baridi hii ya Nairobi, 13, 15 degrees. And then my brother, you're in your you're 45, and your wife is around 40. And you know what happens when women get to the age of 40? When our testosterone is going down by 1%, brother, at the age of 40, for our women, the sexual energies that were numbed during their 20s and their 30s, the children that were making them to remain awake when they were in the 20s and the 30s, these are children who can wake up and fix breakfast for themselves. At 40, your wife is not scared of what people think and say about her. Maisha imempatia character development proper. She does not care. She is in a good space mentally. And because she's in a good space mentally, her feelings and emotions awaken at 40. So anakuambia, bro, Shadrach, Mutai, ile mioto ulikuwa nayo in your 20s, bring it on. Come, baby, come. My brother Shadrach haujipigi. Stress imekusonga. When you remember today you are supposed to pay school fees and you haven't paid. And then hujaeka kitu kwa tumbo, you've not. So even if you try, you will do some lousy work because hapa hakuna kitu. You've not eaten anything the entire day. Na akikupatia feedback, akikuuliza sasa ulikuwa unafanya nini hapa, unakasirika na hiyo makasiriko unaweka hapa. You're not talking to anyone. And then you're wondering why we are dying. Self-care is important. Very, very important. I want you to ask yourself, what activities do you do, elder? What activities do you do for you? And you know something? When you learn to do stuff for people for a very long time, when you normalize that, then you start doing it for yourself. Initially, your brain is going to trick you and tell you you're being selfish. But you're not being selfish. It's not selfish to refill your cup, because when you refill your cup, you'll be able to pour to another person. But what is happening to us men is that we pour too much, we do not refill. So what happens is that we wake up one day, we crash. Because of not refilling, we are so stressed, and this stress is keeping us away from our own children. Our children look at us. I've met so many people, even students in the university, who tell me that when my daddy would come home those days, I would not know whether it's my father or an accident waiting to happen. Stress, like they look at you and they see you like you are like the real definition of stress. Like if stress was a person, if stress was personified or humanized, that person would be you. Ati stress ni nani? Ni baba yangu. And it's not because you're a bad person. Most of us are good people. Good people. But when you are stressed, you become easily irritable. You are annoyed by small things. There's a couple, a story told of a couple, and because both of them were very stressed, after dinner, panya akapita hapo. Panya, rat, panya. In my mother tongue, a rat is called bear. You rat, you know, the one that is not striped. A mouse is called gara. That's my mother tongue. So when you're stressed, you argue about everything and everything. So when they saw that passing, the wife says, so in my mother tongue, if you want to say it's a rat, you say nebea, uga nebea. Sema nebea. So sema hivyo, nebea. Nebea. And then the wife says, no, Asha, no. Negara. You know, gara means a mouse. So they started an argument. So when the wife says when the wife says nebea, the guy says negara. So nikisema nebea, please say negara. Let's see. Nebea. Nebea. When I shout, you shout. Nebea. Nebea. Do you know? And then, you know, as a man, because we are wired for significance, tunachukia sana kudhalali, mtu kufanya kama na kufanyia madharau. So this gentleman, what he did, because of this argument becoming too much, he took a plastic seat, hit his wife with it, and says, nebea na unyamaze. In my mother tongue, you say, no kire, nebea no kire. And then the wife picks, hii pan unatumia kupika chapati, na siku hizi inakuanga heavy sana. The wife picks it because they say what a man can do, a woman can do better. So the woman says, negara na digo kira sita nyamaza. So that guy got a dent here. He still has a mark up today. Sasa ungependa kujiuliza, what was that for? Pettiness. Because when you're stressed, you get to a level where and I was telling someone, if you pick every fight, if you reduce yourself to a person who picks every fight, if you do not choose your battles wisely, then you don't even have the energy to win the important fights of your life. That's it. Utaambia watu nini ukipata dent hapa ya pani ya kupika chapati? Kwa sababu ya mbea. Ngara. So self-care, what do you do? Which are some of the activities that you do? And self-care, we are saying, are things that you do for self. But you don't do them. And touching on those key dimensions. These are some of the things you can do. Just take me down. Physical self-care. Ask your neighbor, do you eat healthy foods? Not just healthy. Doc, do you? Do you take care of your personal hygiene? I was telling someone, sometimes as men, tunajiachilia mpaka, unajua hizo nguo za ndani. If we faint in a marketplace, even the people who are giving us first aid would faint because of what they see. Mjamaa amedunga suti lakini vest maze imehang tu na kadhared. Na huku ndani. Because even spending money on yourself to buy yourself nice briefs and innerwear is a challenge. Ikipata mashimo tutajipatia nguvu, tunasema ati si mashimo ni breather. Ati hiyo ile inahitaji hewa safi. Ati ni breather. When you dress well, you feel confident of who you are. When was the last time you bought yourself a nice pair of shoes, nice socks? They don't have to be expensive. Yeah? You're buying for other people, but you umejiachilia. It's the height of neglecting yourself. Do you eat regularly? Kwanza hii baridi. Do you participate in fun activities? Or you just pay for your children to go for swimming? But you can't, because are you a child of a lesser God? Yet you're working so hard. Do you get enough sleep? Go for preventative medical appointments, e.g. teeth cleaning and checkups, and then rest when sick. Do we do those things? That's just on the physical aspect. Because of how we've been wired for significance, we make work, money, the things that make us feel significant. Our work, money, sex. But again, we act as our own blocks. Because the path to good sex is physical health, right? You run in the morning, you work out, your heart is of course going to be in good shape. And that means, even hapa utakuwa sawa. But you see, we know those things. We are not doing them. We are becoming our own blocks on the things that can actually make us feel significant. Everything we do is state dependent. It's dependent on the frame of mind you're in. And I was telling someone, Doc, today, you can lose your hand. God forbid. If you lose your hand, what's going to happen? Because of how advanced we are technologically, you can even be able to get a prosthesis that is going to help you to even be able to walk maybe almost the same way. But what happens if you lose your mind, if you lose your head? What happens? You're gone. This can be replaced, or some adjustments can be made. But when you lose this one, we are losing you. You'll not be able to work. Yet the things that can help us to get there, Shadrach, we are not doing them. These are things you do as a man to refuel or to refill your cup physically. Psychologically and emotionally. And this is where tumelemewa sana. Because of our pursuit for significance, and especially again when we hit 40, I was telling some people just a while ago, what does the Bible say when it comes to the number of years that we are meant to live biblically? How many years? 70. 70, lakini ya Shadrach ni 80. Yangu ni 95. So if you're plus 40, if you're 40, what does that mean? Chances are you have comfortably done 50% of your life. So what is remaining? This is our safe space. So if you're over 40, or let's say over 35, that is going to make Shadrach feel very good. If you're over 35, chances are you have lived 50% of your life. How do you want to live the remaining 50% of your life? The same way you've lived? Because for you to be able to see your 70s and the 80s, there are so many realignments you have to do. Take time off from work and obligations. Participate in hobbies. Some of us don't even know that we have hobbies. Do you have a hobby, my brother? Write your hobby down where you're writing. Do you want me to define a hobby? A hobby is something you do that makes you feel good. George and I like hiking a lot, but we have not been very religious. We've done how many hikes this year? 2? Yeah. And we are telling ourselves we have to be serious at it. Because we know how it feels when we do that. But again, even us who are teaching you are still getting caught up in the rat race of pursuing significance. What has made me not hike when I wanted to hike? Work, trainings, pursuit. Naitiwa hii job unasema, hii siwezi hata. Yeah. When was the last time you participated in a hobby that left you feeling fulfilled and refueled? When was the last time you learned something new, my brothers? The irony of our times is that we have technology, we have phones. We are spending so much time on social media, yet we can use the same gadgets to even do things that can actually help us to go to the next level. And I was telling someone, if the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning, and you're married, if the first thing you do is to go to Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you need to be prayed for before you even tell good morning to your spouse. And you have, I keep on saying that you can lose your speech at night and you have a golden chance to confirm whether you're talking by telling your spouse good morning. But if before even confirming whether you can talk, you're going to IG or Twitter, you need deliverance. You need help. When was the last time you recognized your strengths, like these brothers who have led us very well in the praise and worship? Because you do have strengths that you can actually be able to use. And those strengths and gifts can actually help you to go to the next level. So do something comforting, like rewatch a favorite movie. Find reasons to laugh. Talk about your problems. Some of us, we even see like laughing is a crime. Yet our women, you should see our women laughing. Can I show you how they laugh? Ha ha ha. Woo! Wananguka na viti. But sometimes us, it's like even laughing is a sin. Ti mwanaume ni kukaa ngumu. Tell your friend, talk about your problems, find a reason to laugh. Find a reason even to laugh because of your forehead. Tell God, think you spend a little more time on my forehead. Please take me next. I think my laser pointer is not working. Take me to the next slide. There's this gentleman, Daktari, who had built a very nice house, and he planted an avocado tree in his compound, and then he had a pumpkin plant. And one day, because he knew how to manage his stresses, he decided to engage God in a conversation. I was telling some folks that sometimes we build houses that have balconies, but you don't even sit on those balconies. You find that the people who are coming to plan for our funerals are the ones who sip coffee seated on those balconies that we built. We never sat on them. If you have a balcony, purpose this weekend to sit there. Mutai, sip coffee quietly. Enjoy it at least before your maker calls you home. So this gentleman told God, I think, God, you have a very interesting sense of humor, because how can you create an avocado tree to be so big and then it bears very small fruits? And then a pumpkin is so small, inatambaa tu huku chini, yet inazaa kitunda kubwa. And I think God wanted to teach him a lesson. That day, it was a very hot Sunday afternoon. God made him to fall asleep under the avocado tree. And you know how avocado fruits are when they are unripe. So a very tiny avocado fruit, it's very hard, fell from the tree. Alikuwa amelala ameangalia juu amefungua mdomo. Then a fruit falls from the tree and hits his forehead. And then he unsnaps from his sleep and then tells God, I think I've made up your mind. You're a very organized person, because nimeimagine kama ni malenge imetoka juu ya mti imenigonga kichwa. I think I would be on 9th floor Kenyatta Hospital nikiwekwa maji. When was the last time you sat under that tree that you planted in your compound? When was the last time you walked around your compound and appreciated the work that you did and you worked so hard for? And that's what Dalai Lama was talking about. We sometimes live as if we're never gonna die. So physical self-care, psychological, emotional self-care, and then spiritual self-care. Spend time in nature. It's part of spiritual self-care. Karura, 200 only. You go spend your entire day there. Meditate. If you're struggling to talk, then pray. At least God is going to hear about your struggles and your issues. If you don't want to open up to a fellow man, then go tell God about your addictions, your troubles, your issues, your struggles with self-esteem, all those things. Recognize things that give meaning in life. Act in accordance to your morals and your values. Participate in causes that are important to you, and appreciate the art and the impact that is created by music, literature, and especially gospel music. Listen to uplifting music. Like, you can imagine how these brothers are feeling having sung and belted out those songs in the presence of the Lord. Kama kulikuwa na stress kiasi, imepungua, imeenda chini. Because they saw you joining them. It is said that when you do a kind thing and someone sees you doing that kind thing, it releases what you call endorphins, good feeling, the feel-good hormones. And you encourage this person to do something kind. You get what I mean? So when I see someone dancing next to me, I'm likely going to join. So they have shared that joy with us. That joy becomes contagious. Energies do attract. But now shida yetu ni ya kwamba, most of the time, because of the stress, what we give out is negative energy. So when you go giving negative energies, especially to your wife. Women multiply what we give them. You give your wife a seed, she incubates it for how many months? 9 months. She gives you what? Ukimpelekea sukuma wiki na spinach na nyama na ugali, unga ya ugali, she incubates that and gives you what? So when you give her stress, what's going to happen? She incubates it, multiplies it by 10, 11 p.m. in the evening, utasikia umepigwa elbow. Doa ujinga hapa. And we'll see it written all over you. We can tell there is something wrong, but you are not telling us what's going on. Because when you're fulfilled at home, mutai, we will see. When you're having issues at home, we will see. And even if you mask, you cannot mask for too long. And one of the reasons why we can't even do some of these things is because of the fear of being vulnerable. Ni umama kufanya vitu kama hizi, singing in church, participating. Mwanaume ni kuparara, you know. I was having a conversation with my male students in the university. Imagine they were telling me ati mwanaume ni kajasho, teacher hata siku hizi hatuogi, ndio wasichana wakisikia hiyo jasho wajue sisi ni hard working Kenyans. And I was asking them, if university people can't shower, then who is showering? Nani anaoga? They are taking things literally. Tell your brother, be vulnerable, brother. Be vulnerable. Where you work, are you a yes person? You know yes people. Yes people will always say yes even if they mean no, right? Yeah. You have a right to say no to excessive work and excessive responsibilities. But some of us don't have the audacity to say no because we still have traumas from our childhood. Traumas that took away the confidence that we are supposed to have. We are scared of being reprimanded maybe the way we were reprimanded. We are reminded of our interactions with our primary caregivers. If you grew up in a home where every time you'd open your mouth to talk, your mother would tell you, elder, funga hiyo mdomo kubwa kama bakuli ya jela. Our parents would say that a lot. It has a way of affecting and impacting your self-esteem. So you fear that if you open your mouth to say no, then these people are likely going to unleash on you. That's why you're not able to say no. Kila mkutano lazima uende, hata ya cattle dip na hauna ngombe. You know, you find yourself getting carried away because you do not have the ability to say no. The business of people pleasing becomes your business. Tell your neighbor it's okay to say no, even no is an answer. And especially saying no to the things that do not add value in your life. Yeah? At work, take on new projects. Do not be scared. Some of us are perfectionists by nature. We are scared of failing because of how failure was rubbed on us every single time we failed. Take breaks during work. It's okay to take breaks. Improve your professional skills. How do you do that? Go back to school, maintain a balance, and keep a comfortable workspace where you'll also enjoy working. All those are things you can be able to do as a man to take care of yourself. Then, socially, which is very, very important, how do you take care of yourself? You can take me to socially first. I think this is something I need to talk about. Up a bit. Yes. This is very, very important. Socially, try to spend time with people you like. Daktari, when was the last time you called a friend or a family member who is far away? I went to see my mother yesterday, and it was so fulfilling to see her. I am her last born, so you can tell she's not young. And I'm concerned about her declining health. But seeing her made me feel very good. Make it a habit to even meet up with your friends and have what you call stimulating conversations. Spend time with your romantic partner, with your spouse. And something else, and especially for those of us who are younger here and we have young wives and we have children, please work on yourself. Tell your neighbor, by the way, do you know you're not an easy person to live with? Daktari, unajua unaweza kuwa mawe, you know you're not an easy person to live with. And this is the thing, and I tell men this, that when you look at us, it is said that Mutai, we have 3 dispensation. The first dispensation is when we have so much power, elder. That is during your youth, up to around 40, 50. Then as you approach 60s and you're nearing retirement, power shifts from you and goes to your wife. And then after that, when you come home for retirement, you don't have so much say because you don't even maybe have a huge financial muscle. And especially if you're not saving up for the later, then the third dispensation comes in. And this is where now power shifts from your wife and goes to your children. Now, depending with what you did with your power, Daktari, when you had it, that's exactly how your wife and your children are going to treat you in the future. So what happens is that most of the time when we have the power, we are also stressed. What do? We project this to them. So when Christmas comes, sasa umezeeka, your children are coming to see you, my brother Mutai. Unapata ya kwamba because of how you dealt with them when you had power, and I told you, a baby is going to stay in a mother's womb for 9 months, and then for how long do they breastfeed? Breastfeeding. How many years? 2, 3. For the boys, they will breastfeed even when they are walking. So they go play out, they come tell the mother, sit down, nataka kunyonya. Kinanyonya tu kikiwa kimesimama, alafu kinaenda kinarudi nje. Those are 4 years of bonding. This boy has bonded with the mother for how many years? Where are you? Where are you? Because it's going to take a lot of intervention for you to come in and bond with these children. So that's where we miss it. The stress moves us away from our children and our spouses, such that when power shifts to them, what happens? Christmas, watoto wamekuja kutembea, saa hii uko mzee Mutai. Unaona mama, no, they start with you. When they are leaving to go back to their different places, unaachiwa 1,000. Na unapewa kila mtu akiona, everyone akiona. Then the mother is pulled to the kitchen, anahesabiwa. So the daughter mwenye ameolewa huko Ukambani anatoa zake 5. The other one who is married in Eldoret anatoa 5. The one who lives in Qatar anataka kujionyesha anatoa 20. So your wife anaachiwa around 20-30K, anaweka hapa. And then because she still remembers that uliwatesa, na si kuwatesa, it's stress that was making you project. When on that following Sunday, wageni wakikuja kutembea, you hear her saying in the full view of everyone, hakuna sukari. Na kwa sababu hutaki aibu, ile 1,000 ulipewa brother, unapeana. Because you also want to show the neighbors you are a responsible person. Unapeana 1,000. Hebu niambie, ni nini itafanya usikufe, my brother, daktari? And especially if you did not keep anything aside. And I want to encourage us men, even as we do all those things, please keep something aside for that. I keep on saying that your family is part of your retirement plan, but also put aside something for you and for them. Because, my brother, it's one thing to be old. 2, it's another thing to be old and broke. And the other thing is, it's another thing to be old, broke, and lonely. My brother, you're finished. So even as you pay fees, and it's okay, And I want to applaud all hardworking men who are here. If you are broke this moment because you paid school fees today, you're not a broke person. What you are a responsible father. All right? But even as you take care of other people, remember to take care of yourself. So socially, spend time with people you like, call or write a friend, have stimulating conversations. I like this friend of mine because we talk. And we ask each other hard questions. I ask him hard questions. And I think sometimes he does ask me hard questions. I like him because he told his wife. Nikikustres, he told his wife. Mimi, Reverend George, nikikustres. The only person you can call to tell that uko na my issues ni Joseph. That's the level of accountability I'm talking about. And because he doesn't want the wife to call me and tell him that he's misbehaving, so what is he going to do? He is going to try to be a better person. He grows, right? And the same thing I told Esther, you want to kushtaki me? Staki me to him. Because I know I'm also not an easy person to live with. I'm not scared of being vulnerable. And when you're not scared of being vulnerable, what happens, my brother, is that you grow and you become a better person. Spend time with your romantic partner. Ask others for help when you need help. Can I tell you, there's nothing we go through, my brother, that is unique. The issues you have could be the same issues that Daktari has. But when we are not talking about them, we think we are the only ones who are going through these things. And we live in isolation and fear and so much pain. The other thing you can do socially is keep in touch with your friends. Talk. Create a network of people who can come through for you. This is the last thing I want to say. My dear men, you cannot settle all financial expenses in one day. Those who did this kind of a thing, some of them are stressfully sick and some are buried already. I have a friend who tells me, hata Kenya iko na deni. Hata America iko na deni, si ndio? So don't stress up yourself because of the denis you have. Lakini sisemi usilipe, lipa pole pole. Hata benki, you go and negotiate, isn't it? Hata sako, you can go and do what? Negotiate. They call it rescheduling. So don't die. I saw the other day a teacher who committed suicide because of madeni mingi. The other thing we need to know as men is that create time. I want us to read this together. Let us read number 1 together. You cannot. Number 2, please create. Yeah. When was the last time you ate popcorns with your children and you are the one who bought them? Is it that you don't have teeth, my brother? Ati ni ngumu? Which part of it is hard? You see, that's how we have normalized dysfunctionality. Which part of eating, why would you eat chapati and not eat popcorns with your children? Which part of that is hard? Because in the pursuit of significance, we have normalized the act of being busy. We have normalized the act of neglecting ourselves. The normal things that are supposed to actually take us to the next level are the ones that we look at and think they are abnormal. Number 3, please. Yes. Reverend, I had a very interesting theory the other day that Of course, Jesus said that when our mansions in heaven are complete, he'll come for us. So this gentleman was saying that it's not that the mansions are not complete. The mansions are done already. But because we are so many, each mansion has a key. So what God did after finishing the mansions is that he put those keys in one basket. So what he does every morning is that he dips his hand, he dips his hand in this basket and catches a bunch of keys. And woe unto you because if he gets your key, then he calls you home. So here is the thing. Assuming that maybe that is true. If God gets hold of your key today, what will you say you did with your life? It's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest. It's okay to sleep. Those who did not do that, their keys got found very fast and they are up there. And I'm trying to say that there are some people who have gone before their time just because of neglecting. The same way you take your car for service religiously. When do you ever go for service? And who services you if you ever go? Number 4. Everything will pass with time. Especially for my brothers over 40. So I went for my annual checkups at the beginning of the year. You may look at me and think because I run and I may look a bit fit, but I was told, and I hadn't changed, I'm still the same way. I was told by the doctor that you need to check on your cholesterol levels because it looks like they are tipping. Sasa wapo unaona cholesterol wapi? You know. And I was looking at the doctor and I was like, are you for real? So, and I'm thinking, just imagine if I didn't go. Maybe that's a problem that would have grown in me without knowing. When was the last time you did that? Especially if you're 40 plus. One of the reasons why 7 out of men succumbed to COVID is because COVID was bringing down people with underlying conditions, right? How many people are having underlying conditions and they didn't know they have them? So many. How many people will take to even taking sex-enhancing drugs, which should not just be taken without, prescription, because some of them are going to trigger or react to the underlying conditions that we do have. A friend of mine lost a dad 2 years ago because of that. Caught in a hotel room with the house help who used to work for them, 25 years old, and the mubaba was 75. He was saying, hata paka mzee hunywa maziwa. As the Kenyans on social media like saying, he died in the line of duty, but really, no. The son has never recovered from this trauma. The father drops him at the airport because he was going to the US to accompany his wife for a conference. And he said, let's go together so that I can also catch up with my brother. So the father is the one who dropped him at the airport. Then the following day, the auntie calls the guy when he was having breakfast with the brother in the US and tells the son, the man who dropped you at the airport is no more. Apparently when he dropped him, he didn't go home straight. Alifululiza mpaka mahali walikuwa nakutana. The other thing we need to understand is that we have to accept these things when they happen. Tell your neighbor, sex has a shelf life. Sex has a shelf life. Inaisha, bro. It's part of life. How you would perform in the 20s is not the same way you're going to perform in the 30s, and it's okay. It's not the same way you're going to perform in the 40s. It's still okay. Yeah? Where I come from, they say, "Warugagani atofokaga." How do you say that in English? The one who used to jump, sometimes will not jump anymore the way they used to jump. And it's okay. Yeah. Accept. I'm the same person who used to do a marathon. And I'm the same person who is not managing 100 meters. It's still okay, my brother. It's part of life. But it doesn't have to dive so fast. Stress can make it dive even faster. So when that time comes, accept. Do not live in denial. Because everything good also has a what? Has an end. Number 6, stand by your. Do it in number 5. Let's read number 5. Yes, it's okay. In this mad world where everyone is racing to do stuff, teach yourself to spend some quiet time with yourself. And number 6, stand by your mirror. Let's go. Yes. It's called carrying your own sunshine, Doc. Carry your own sunshine with you. Such that when the world gives you lemons, you make your own what? Lemonade. Number 7. Some of us, even buying ourselves coffee is a problem. Yet you worked so hard for that money. Yeah. Yet when your children want to go to KFC and Pizza Inn, Chicken Inn, we do them. I mean, we do it. And I'm not saying don't do for them, but where are you in this? Number 8. Yes. One evening, I went to see my brother-in-law in hospital a month ago. He just had a fracture, so he was scheduled to go to theater so that they will put a plate. As we were waiting to go to see him in the ward, last month, a young man was brought in, wheeled in, and I saw as the wheelchair was coming in, the doctors alikuwa anaeka mikono hivi, then the doctor would quickly return the hands. And then I kept on seeing nurses coming out, and every time they come out, they would get in with something new, a gadget. And I remember after around 20 minutes, this male nurse came out. No, I think he was a doctor actually. The male doctor came out sweating. And I knew they were trying to resuscitate this gentleman. So I heard the boda guy saying that where he was, he took porridge, and then he became unconscious. And I saw 2 women come in, and they were pacing up and down frantically, only to come to learn that these were the daughters. And then they kept on asking the doctors, please tell us what is going on. The doctors would tell them, please wait. And then just like while still there, we figured out that this guy lost his life. He died. And I was there thinking, life is so fickle. Like, he came in alive, and the moment he's leaving this hospital, he's actually going to the morgue. And just like that. And I have a friend of mine who tells me that what surprises her about death is that when you go, you can't come back to finish something that you had started. Like that, just like that. So it made me appreciate life and also look at life as a very fickle thing. So don't joke around with life. You have aches, my brother, have them checked. You're feeling unwell, don't trivialize that. Your health is your wealth, bro. But how many of us take that seriously? And because of that neglect and ignorance, what do, Mutai? We even quote conditions. Conditions that are not supposed and that were not meant to fester. They fester in us. Take care of yourself. And lastly, number 9, check. Trust me, it has. It has. When was the last time you checked your blood and sugar levels, bro? And these days, it's not an age thing. I have a client, a lady who is 35, who was telling me she was taking her the pressures for all the vitals because she was renewing her insurance cover. And she became so anxious that every time the pressure was being taken, they constantly found it very, very high, extremely high. She's only 35. Meaning, if it were not for that medical cover thing, she wouldn't even have known that she's having blood pressure issues. Take me next, brother. I want to conclude so that we can go home. All I'm saying this evening is that, yes, we are wounded. Part of the reason we are wounded is because we have believed this narrative that has ended us, harming us, and turning against us. We've been lied to that we are not supposed to feel, we are not supposed to express. So we have perfected and normalized the art of bottling up feelings and emotions. We are rejected, we bottle it up. We are neglected, we bottle it up. We have childhood traumas we've not resolved, we have bottled them up. Our wives have ridiculed us because of our declining prowess. There's a lady who was telling me that she has found another gentleman because all of a sudden she has found the man not to be very attractive because the guy is not working. The guy is not working. So he found people who are working very, very attractive. And he admitted that he even has a sexual thing with him. The husband has no clue. And she describes him as a phenomenal guy. Very good. Caring, takes care of the children. The only disqualification is that this guy is not working. So he's not sexy anymore because he's not working. And I was sitting there wondering, what will happen to this brother when he finds out what is going on? Because one day he'll find out what's going on. Could you have normalized the abnormal? I'm here to tell you it's okay to be vulnerable. And I want us to, be that person who breaks the cycle. Don't keep it here anymore. If you are judged, choose understanding. If you are rejected, choose acceptance. If you are shamed, choose compassion. Be the person you needed when you were hurting, not the person who hurt you. Vow to be better than what broke you. To heal instead of becoming bitter so you can act from your heart, not from your pain, my brothers. I wish we can actually be those men. And we can be those men. The other thing is, tell your neighbor, have some self-control. Yeah. Control yourself. I said we cry, but we don't cry the normal tears. We cry through what? Booze. We cry through porn. We cry through kunyonga. My university guys tell me at teacher sometimes ati tunanyonga hiyo kitu mpaka inashindwa kuamka. They have normalized it. Imagine, they've normalized it so much. Have control. Sometimes I tell men, hata hiyo koti ulikuwa umeacha huko usiende, wacha, just choose to be a different person. If that is the route you had taken to deal with your stresses, escaping from maybe your matrimonial home to go and seek pursuit in other places, vow. Because sometimes in seeking instant gratification, we find ourselves here. Some of us, we find ourselves in that trouble. You can't reach anything new if your hands are full of yesterday's junk. So my brothers and sisters, it's okay to be vulnerable. The pain, the hurt, the depression, the anger, the addiction, the lust, the pride, the guilt, the brokenness, the struggles, the betrayal, the hate, the confusion, the worries, all our relationship challenges, is somewhere we can take them. And because today we are here and you're in church, this gives us so much hope. Because if we put God first in everything, we are good to go. And when you put God first, even the generations after us are going to follow us. And the plan of God is that we live. Take me to those old men, the two of them. I want you to see Mutai and Shadrach, how they will look like in their 70s and their 80s. That is Mutai on the left, Shadrach on the right. I learned so much from these men. For them to live up to that age, they must have vowed that stress tutaweka chini, isn't it? You cannot be stressed and live up to that age. Mutai, can you see yourself, how you look? These guys don't have an iPhone, they don't have a smartphone perhaps. They don't look like have very expensive clothes. Those guys don't have a toothbrush. What for? Because they don't even have teeth. They gargle salty water and they are good to go. But look at them. That could be George and myself. That's the plan of God for us as men. But sometimes we are nipping this in the bud by worrying too much, by allowing those wounds. Let's see that. And because we declare that after this we are not going to allow the wounds to hurt us, we are going to grow old with our spouses. So Mutai tells the wife in their old age that leo hata hautaenda salon, wacha nichangamkie hizi gray hair zako. That's the plan of God. Because balance is the key to life. I want to sum up by saying this. If you can't face it, my brother, you can't heal it. What is your wound? Is your wound rejection? Is your wound abandonment? Is your wound struggles you're going through in your relationships? Is your wound the addictions that you have used as your escape? I'm here to tell you that it's normal to feel the way you feel. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to remain not okay. Seek help, seek support, talk to someone. Those notes I'm going to ask whoever is responsible to share them with you, such that if you're not sure what you can do to refill your cup, to refuel, to rejuvenate yourself, you can see physically, emotionally, psychologically, socially, spiritually, this is what I can be able to do to take care of myself, because self-care is very, very important. They say, strangely, life gets harder when you try to make it easy. Daktari, exercising may be very hard, but not exercising is even harder. Isn't that true? Not talking about your issues is hard, right? We struggle to talk about our issues. We think it's hard. But not talking about them, bottling up, makes lives even harder, because that's what is going to give rise to all these things. What is your role in your sickness? Identify the areas of your struggles and seek help. I look forward to a day when brothers can sit together the way we are seated here and talk about our vulnerabilities without feeling like it's a strange thing. I keep on saying, you only live once, my brothers. And that once is enough if you live well. The question I have for you is, are you living well? Ask your brother, are you living well? When you look at the way you're living with your spouse, ask your brother, are you living together or dying together? What is your role in the living together, and what is your role in the dying together, if you're dying together? I hope and pray that you will embrace healing, face it so that you can heal it. And there's no way you can heal it if you can't face it. And facing it is allowing yourself to be vulnerable. When you go to the doctor, you surrender all. You tell them, this is how I'm feeling, this is how I'm feeling. You bear it all. And that's when the doctor is able to test you and come up with a diagnosis and eventually a prescription that is going to make you healed. We need to be able to embrace our wounds, face them, and heal them. Don't be like this man. After one Sunday service, this gentleman alienda nyumbani kwake akainua mke wake juu na mke wake akashindwa. This guy is not very romantic. What happened today? Akaamua kuniinua. Then eventually the guy told the wife that our pastor today told us when we go home, tuchukue shida zetu zote tuziinulie Bwana. No. Don't go do that when you go home. Maybe your wife may be a source of your trouble. But as men, instead of focusing on what we've not achieved, let us be grateful for what we have been able to accomplish and focus on becoming better individuals. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to remain not okay. Brother, talk to someone. Fungua roho, ongea. Heal. Because when you heal, we'll have stronger fathers. If you don't heal, we say hurt people hurt others. Sad people make others sad. Demotivated people make others demotivated. You're the king of your household. You're the king of your temple. When you're a sick king, your throne is shaky. But when you heal, you're able to sit on the throne squarely. And what you do, because you're not hurting, you do not pass on the pain. It is said that damaged parents damage their children. Sometimes we say things we don't even mean to our children when we are stressed and angry. Pass on wisdom and knowledge, not pain in the heart. Let this pain end with you. There are some battles that your children do not have to fight. Heal so that you pass on wisdom and knowledge to the next generation. God bless you. I love you, my brothers. We are in this together. God bless you.